ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, in the wake of all of our American comrades having too much turkey, we are back to take a look at Redstone 44. Seen today on Shachedrin, Rang, who do we have? Because it's been a bit of time.
So, on the left-hand side in the blue, we have Dimitri playing his 25th Panzer Grenadier. And on the right-hand side in the red, we have Farid Rommel playing as 184th Infantry.
So, looking at the 184th Infantry, look at the 25th Panzer Grenadier. I mean, this is Red Storm, so of course anything can happen with this, but I have to say, I love seeing a full recon tablet really from the 25th Panzer Grenadier, because there's so many light vehicles. It's so much fun to see these guys.
Yeah. They're really good early gameplay just due to all those light autocannon vehicles. You can do quite a bit of cheesy action with them if you so desire.
True. Very, very true. I do want to make a quick call up because, again, it seems to happen so rarely. Fun to look at the M3 Lee that's up here. Yes, guys, those are infantry that are riding inside those tanks. I guess they put the ammunition on the outside for the time being. Or maybe the infantry is wearing them as hats. I don't know.
That could be it, yeah. Yeah, apparently, like, the M3 Lee did have enough internal storage capacity to not just carry 7 guys, but also a squad of infantry. It's really quite crazy how much you can stick in that tank, but it was a rather big tank.
I think it was one of those things, it's kind of like the whole, Jackson's Foot Cavalry thing. So maybe it was just like, General Lee just trying to bring through some 19th century black magic into the new world here. Looking down to the south, though, early recon vehicle going up and losing against a death ball of support weapons. 3 45 mils and 2 Maxims down there. Jeez.
That is quite nasty. That's really gonna do a good job of zoning out that little center area. I mean, not really too much down south here from Dimitri. Up north, it's actually getting pretty hot and heavy in the town as both sides are going at it.
Certainly true. Certainly true. I do want to make a quick call out. I feel like the Strokies are going to be a better position into most of these fights. I'm sure there's going to be disagreement here. Yes, with the Pioneer here. And geez, even the Pigments do have their fair share of just the MG34s, or excuse me, 42s in these guys, forgive me. But I keep waiting to have the Strokies coming in with a lot more firepower. Maybe a mortar or two or something like that. Heck, maybe even that Valentine, can come in and be a little more damaging to those light vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, for 184th, they have a lot of light vehicles of their own, which are actually pretty good counters to all the autocannon German armoured cars. So a few of those in the town, such as this Valentine Camerati, or heck, you just blow it to hell and back with an IL-4 out of work too.
And those are 305 rockets. Good God.
And it's Red Storm, so it blows up half a block.
Yeah, exactly. But at least it kind of suits it,
Yeah, I mean, bombs are pretty deadly, It's a reason why people keep using them.
Easier than throwing rocks, that's for sure. BF-109 apparently seems to think that he has to go east to get out of there, but going to the right doesn't get you into the next screen, my friend. It just looks like it might just end up getting you to, buy the farm.
Yeah, maybe if you made it to the border, you would have been kinged up to an ME-262, but we'll never know.
That's kind of a fascinating idea. I think that should be a new thing. So Red Storm, Mr. Chris, please just add that in as the King Me variant. I love that.
Yeah, the King Me mechanic. Come on, I think it'd be very balanced.
Kind of like the Crazy Queen chest kind of thing. Yeah,
Yes.
That sounds good. We have a Pack 38 down south as there are a number of vehicles looking to develop this attack. Not sure if I really like that position just yet by tossing in unsupported vehicles, but hey, I'm sure they know what they're doing.
So I know what hit them when that Pack 38 starts opening up. Oh, loses line of sight, yeah. I don't think it's something push is going to work too well. I mean, there's a great amount of fire support vehicles, but the hill is under Dimitri's control, and Rommel's attack is a little bit anemic.
Well, yeah, certainly you're not going to do a whole lot with a couple just the Konaya of this event, because not a whole lot, especially with our 221 sitting in close support there.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, pretty even Stevens. Nothing really no crazy pushes. I mean, Farid Rommel does have that better early game income, so he needs to make it count right now.
But the bizarre thing is, I mean, just because we're looking at the 25th Panzer Grenadier, it is 13-11 in favor of Farid. But at the end of the day, one gets a marginally better early game, one gets a marginally better mid game, but then they're right back, smack dab even over there at the end.
Yeah, so, it's a really funny income.
Because you don't really expect it to be quite that even, I suppose. So
No, you don't. It's at least for both sides. Once they get to that C phase, it's They're both going to be slugging just the same. But once again, this is Red Storm. B phase doesn't start usually till like the 13-minute mark and doesn't end till usually the 30-minute mark. So
exactly.
B phase is a pretty big phase. Let's try to call it the B phase.
That is certainly true. Actually, I do love seeing like, a bunch of T-70s, an M3 Caprotti coming in, 2 more M3s behind that. And there's a bit of an attack that's starting to develop across these lungs. And Pioneers, I don't care how scary that flame is, the M3 just kind of comes in and just starts laughing at it.
Yeah. Yup. And you got the veteran of Dimitri, which is going to flank around and say hello.
Shockingly enough, they haven't killed anybody just yet, but Lord knows they're going to force a surrender pretty quickly.
Yep. There we go, yeah. The flamethrowers do have a slower reload time, I believe, in Red Storm, so you do actually have an opportunity to catch them while they're reloading, which is nice.
We do have an 82mm stovepipe up north. He's just kind of shelling everything on those front lines, but neither player is really going for the whole kind of meat grinder that we tend to expect from it. What we are seeing instead, though, is Farida's doubling down or even tripling down in the south. Just that it seems like a never-ending wave of men and material being pushed on through.
Yeah, it's a lot of armored vehicle support. Frankly, he probably wants a little bit more infantry, I think, to try and take that hill. Oh, heck, I guess if you throw enough T-70s up here, there's not a whole lot of AT to stop him. But yeah, Dimitri, he only really has one stuck here in that Pack 38. It could be a bit dicey if Farid does manage to put on the pressure.
And that's all that seemed to be the case. One thing I'm finding interesting is that we have a commandant up north for the Germans, and the combat's actually being brought down to the south over here for the Rodina. I know that they continue to have the same kind of crazy buffs as before. Is there any true benefit to focusing so intently on one side of the theater?
Oh, for the commandant?
Well, for the commandant or the combat down below?
Yeah, I guess having the, we definitely do want the combat, of course, just because of the crazy bonuses, and it's mainly the front line. I mean, the combat up north, if he can get that deployed, I mean, the reason why the center is a little bit more contested is you have the German commandant, and as you know, in Red Storm, they do affect the front line, kind of like presence, so to speak, for infantry.
Down, by the way, we had IL-4 coming on in pound that earlier kind of position. And 2 BF-109s now have to be brought on in with the vague attempt of being able to go after the IL-4. No, actually, he's going after the laugh. So we might see one bad joke here as the second laugh, I think, is probably going to get at least 1 kill out of this.
Yeah, this is not an ideal situation for Rommel. If he just had a little bit of anti-air out earlier, he probably would have been able to at least kill one of these 109s. But here we go. Emergency 37mm being brought out, but for all that gunfire, it's pretty anticlimactic.
It's anticlimactic for now. One's falling back, the other one can still be engaged here. Remember that this is Red Storm, so anti-air actually does matter now.
Yeah.
It's not just a momentary kind of disagreement.
Yeah, there we go.
One.
That's exactly what he needs to pick up. And down south, I mean, that Pack 38's in a pretty good position, and Farid Rommel is slowly but surely taking that hill with just his light armor.
Kazvetka goes down, but the T-70s have gained that hillside. In the Pack 36, you're not going to get much of a good firing position there. Like, you look right now, he's going to unload. Bottom side of that slope. That is not where you want your anti-tank guns to be.
No, but maybe he can be fast enough to at least pick both of those T-70s off the Pack 38, also providing fire and support, but getting slowly but surely suppressed.
And those T-70s, even with just 1 star, they're going to have more than a firepower to actually force that, into its the détente that's going on here,
Yeah, it's like tank spam is working really well for Rommel right now. It's definitely exploiting just the lack of anti-tank Dimitri has down south here, and really, in general, I mean, he does have Stugs, which are a decent counter, but especially in the southern area of the map, on like the hills, if you can just kind of flood it with light tanks all over, it's just really hard to engage him at long range, because, well, you can't if you're in a bloody forest.
Though we are going to see, perhaps might be potentially the hero Pack 36. Engage those M3s to the north. And not for nothing, those P-Grunts are also going to go and probably take out one of the M5s is down, so Stewart is down. He's probably going to pay for that temerity. But regardless, it is a 15-9.
God, you know the Pack 36 was a bit anemic when it can't even penetrate a bloody Stuart.
Well, that's what they call it the door knocker.
Yeah.
That for a reason. Unfortunately, for that Stewart over here, that door knocker apparently still has a big enough knob to kind of throw his weight around.
There we go. Just falling with fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, good reversal here from Farid. Managing to take the Southern Hill. He's got that 15-9. He's probably has another 2 to 3 minutes left of his A-phase income. So he's in a decent position to try to hold until relieved for the next, well, potential 13 minutes, 20 minutes.
You know, one thing that is interesting, we just saw 105 off map coming up to the northern side. And we had a couple of trucks up here, actually Pioneers, might potentially move. Yep, they're going to try to take advantage of both the 81mm kind of barrage, as well as the 105 off map just dropped rounds that have severely stunted the defense in that area.
Yeah, that's a really good off-map artillery strike. Everything is just getting stunned, yeah. And if he does manage to follow up through, he can, well, I say pick up some surrenders, but you do have both of the Comrades as well as the combat on the front line, so it's going to be no step back.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And a couple of lingering Strelkeys, as well as a couple of lingering Valentines and PTRDs. We're not talking about a massively dangerous defense, but a scratch team or two that can still cause enough casualties to be a hassle.
Yeah, and the Pioneers without any anti-tank capabilities. I mean, that one Valentine only really has a machine gun against infantry, but that'll be enough in this instance.
True, true. You're right. I don't think it's going to be Valentine's Day, but, I mean, we're not into Phase B yet, so it still has potential time to see a lot of love being brought on forwards.
Yep. And 2 months as well. Oh, an ISU 152 down to south. I forgot they do get these big bloody guns, as well as a bunch of, like, nice light and medium tank spam.
Well, we are seeing some of the vehicles getting picked off here as anti-tank gun after anti-tank gun is getting brought on in. Of course, I do say that, and at the same time, those anti-tank guns don't get replaced as we go further and further into this game, and those tanks definitely do.
Yeah, yes. Soviets definitely do have a bit of an armor and anti-tank advantage in this case. I mean, really, for the Panzergrenadier, it's mostly gonna be Stugs, but if Farid can just keep the fighting centered around, like, on top of the hills, those Stugs aren't gonna be all that effective.
Heck, the T-70s are allowed to be able to get in here, and they're engaging very, very effectively and efficiently.
Yeah.
There is a single Pack 36 being snuck on forwards. I don't know that I really foresee it being supremely effective here.
No, I mean, you got Strokey covering.
Yeah. And brave amateur that 231 is. He's there, he might get a kill. There's potential, but it might just won't be like an HP kind of kill as opposed to an actual, like, legit kill, so to speak.
Yep.
Ooh, furball. Huge furball. IL-4 put it again. The BF-109 finally takes him down. Will another laugh get hit too? I don't know, but there's a Flak Veerling that's doing more than enough work, and it's the Soviets that actually are pushed back.
There we go, that's a pretty good aerial engagement here from Dimitri, knocking out one of those scary IL-4s, 2 of them in the deck, so I definitely leave a bit of pressure. And Dimitri's actually making pretty good progress up north. He's managed to get a decent foothold into the opposite side of the town, though not enough to get that important flag, which is really, you know, he does need the flags right now at his 14-10 disadvantage.
True. You know, you're right to say that there is some terrifying nature from the IL-4, but let's not forget there still are incendiaries with IL-2s with the
Oh, yeah.
So I would almost hesitate to say that it's, you know, that life is so much better without the IL-4 in the area.
Down south, I mean, we just have a whole heap of Soviet stuff, all the support guns, the anti-aircraft gun, the ISU. This is gonna be a pretty tough nut to crack, I think, here for Dimitri. I mean, that southern hill is pretty well defended, and just those light tanks are in that lovely little ambush area where, you know, they just completely destroy anything that gets too close.
That's true, but they also are forced into a surrender pretty easily as well.
Yeah.
Now, we do have one stovepipe, which is going to try to be able to drop rounds for smoke on top of the ISU-152, which is a great thing. Except now there's a combat coming in with an IS-2, and we're starting to see reserve troops being brought on in. So it's not the most ideal to bring those reserve troops on in. Again, those guys, not quite air such trooping, but certainly not your first kind of crack line to be brought here. But I think in a pinch, that's going to be more than enough. And more than anything else, actually tells us that we are into Phase B. So prepare to see Dimitri try to push his own advantage in this current phase.
Yeah, yeah. And Farid is like really well dug in. Even up north, he's bringing in the reserve troops as well as more Avtamachikis in the M3 Lee. And it just seems like he's lost a lot of steam up here. If this northern person needs another off-map artillery barrage to shaking up the front line.
You know, it's a shame he's run out of steam because it's the winter sale going on right now, and I think he can get a really good deal. But and 82 mils in the meantime too from the Soviet side, not quite able to go after their German counterparts, but more than effective at kind of bogging down any kind of attack. As I just want to take a quick look at their artillery barrages are speculative, but at this moment speculative is more than enough.
Yeah, especially just with the two flags in the northern town, it's pretty obvious that this enemy is going to be in that rather lumpy choke point, so it's a pretty smart idea to just blow up. There we go. Here's the off map.
True, the off map is there. Just a quick show of my viewers over here, but what I did with the reserves. So these guys over here again, they're close enough. You know, -4 accuracy, -20 rate of fire, blah blah blah. But up here, since there's discipline, not quite the same. Oh, excuse me, infantry high command. I always forget infantry high command is not the same thing as discipline here.
Oh.
But throw them in there with basically the blocking troops, like an NKVD type squad, and man, those guys will be quite dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the mix of those two can actually make like reserve troops pretty beefy. I mean, they're not great firepower, but they can take a lot of shots. And here comes the off-map artillery. Will Dimitri be able to follow up afterwards? Because this should be pretty devastating.
I don't think that's going to be the case, because look to the skies.
Oh. Oh. IL-2 taking a heat. IL-4 gonna be following up. His comrade blows up the Pak-36, a terror of German anti-tank weaponry, especially if you had a forward-facing, the breech-loaded bloody anti-tank rocket. But a Messerschmitt does go down, or a BF-109, I should say.
No, but it's a good thing, honestly. It's a very, very good call. But down to the south, the lungs are slowly filling up with communist blood, as they are taking another position. I mean, they're pretty much surrounding that door knocker that's on that hillside. And while the Stokes are desperately trying to go and push the IS-2 back, the IS-2 is just kind of blithely indifferent, it seems, to all comers.
Yeah, it's a really good call in, because Rufus Division is mainly just the T-34s and the ISU-152s in your anti-tank tab, but taking the IS-2 Commander does give you another heavy tank for the division, and in this example here, I mean, he is just blocking everything at long range. He's in a perfect position to defend the hill. And to give command, you know? He's leading by example.
True. And that's kind of what it should be.
Yeah.
I will say, to the northern side, we are going to see that there was a push in the wake of this artillery barrage. It's still 14-10, though, in favor of Farid over Dimitri. Not saying that's going to be entirely the case, because these Sturmpanzer Grenadiers over here, guys, remember, these are Krieg's veterans. So against reserve troops, and these are veterans, that is a hefty, hefty distance between the skill sets of both sides.
Yeah, especially when all 11 STGs in the squad is really, really, really scary.
The term,
Also,
I believe, is
artillery.
obnoxious, sir.
Yes.
ME-410, in the meantime, goes down in the south. You know what? I just got a surprise. There's not been more just infantry hurled up to the northern side, besides a few squads of reserves.
Yeah, I think just much more focused down south, and rightfully so. It's just much more important flag coverage in the southern end of the map compared to the north. He's really only at risk of losing one flag up north here, so it's not, you don't really have to worry about too much of an investment in defending the northern side. And he still has, you know, quite a few blocks that he can, you know, hold out.
Well, he did just napalm his own troops into death, so there is that. And down to the south, actually, we are seeing an attempted resurgent push. We have a SPA wagon that's behind the lines. Technically, he could get himself a nice little cheeky kill or two. That the reserve troops are not anywhere near being really kind of quite done with them. Of course, this still is Red Storm, so there's potential here for this 222 to actually go down.
God, that 222 is taking forever to line up his gun. That's a really slow turret rate you're turning.
It's kind of like Duck Hunt, but really it's just the Soviet peasants. I kind of understand.
Yep.
And those guys are playing... Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, autocannons are pretty nasty.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, but even with all that autocannon fire, he's not gonna take... Well, he's kind of taken the hill, just not in terms of the front line, and oh! Rommel does actually surrender. I don't know if that's a tap out, because he was kind of rinning. I mean, like a disconnect.
That would probably be my guess over here, but at the same time, looking at what the kind of kills were, it was very, very even on both sides. I would not be surprised to find out that it was a technological issue there.
Yeah.
So much of the German Air Force actually have been brought down by that point already, so I feel like as for longer and longer the game went, I think the air power would have been deliciously in favor of Farid. Looking at it now, 2 Messerschmitts to an anti-aircraft gun, 2 Messerschmitts to another left, 2 Messerschmitts to another left. Other than that, I mean, on the other side, what did he lose? He lost a couple of planes, the IL-4 and IL-2, but like, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that was a tech. I'm hoping that was a tech tap, because otherwise that makes no sense.
Yeah, because Farid, I mean, he was starting to lose a little bit of territory up north, but there's only one flag, it doesn't matter. And down south, I mean, the Germans got a foothold onto the hill, but it wasn't like a firm foothold, so... I mean, you guys are watching, let us know in the comments what happened, because that's a bit of a shame, because, yeah, Farid was definitely winning that match from our perspective. God's perspective.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe it's just divine intervention on the part of the game itself. That was like, you know what? I feel bad for the 25th. Well, let him have this one. So, who knows? I do wish we had been able to see the name of Africa brought on in. Heck, I would have been happy seeing some more IS-152s, ISU-152s over here from the Soviets as well. And that's saying something, having me want to see more of those. But any final thoughts there, sir?
No, it's just another solid Red Storm match.
Indeed it was. Well, folks, come back over here on Thursday because we're going to see a replay from a map that we barely... I don't think you and I have ever cast together.
It's a new map.
That's absolutely why you and I have never cast it together. So come back and see a new map over here on Thursday. Until Thursday, though, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.